Hi, welcome to episode 62 of the Austin Downbeat. I'm Kat, your host. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. I have a great show for you today. First, we're going to hit that rundown of just some of the people that are playing this week in Austin. So here we go. On the 18th, this covers July 18th through the 24th. So here we go. On the 18th, you have Devin Gilfillian at the Zilker Park Boat Rentals. Kelly McWee is at Continental Club. On the 19th, you have Ellis Bullard at White Horse and William Harry's Graham at Continental Club. On the 20th, you have Susanna Schaffel at New World Deli. Reverend Few are going to be at Swan Dive. And then you have the following 4 acts at the Empire Control Room. You have David Shabani, Selfless Lovers, The Past Lives, and Foolish Ones. They're all playing at Empire Control Room. On the 21st, you have Daniel Fears at Geraldine's. On the 22nd, you have Jerron Marshall at 13th Floor. Ray Prim is at the Redbird Listening Room. Natalie Price is at Common Thread. Beetroot Revival is at the Saxon Pub. And Jane Leo is at 13th Floor. On the 23rd, Slade Cleaves is at the Redbird Listening Room. Cook is at Ghost Note Brewing. And last but not least, you have your Monday night residencies. Bob Schneider at the Saxon, Monday Night Supper Club at El Mercado South, and Dale Watson at the Continental Club. There you go. That's your rundown. My guest today, we have 2/5 of a wonderful band called Rival Waves. They are alternative rock, punk, a nice mixing bowl of them all. Makes you really get that note of nostalgia with their unique fingerprint on it. Really enjoying their album. Speaking of, their album that's coming out on August 4th was recorded at the Bubble by Frenchie Smith, who's been on the show. So if you haven't had a chance to see that episode with him, catch that as well. A Meaningless Chaos is the name of their album. Again, it's out on August 4th, and the very next day, they are doing their release show at 310 ACL Live. And so that's on the 5th, and they're playing with the Dead Coats and Lola Tried. So it's going to be a really great show. Make sure you get some tickets. In the band, you have the lead singer, Joel De La Garza. You have Marc Schulz on guitar, Erik Salinas on guitar, Paul Pinon, and Dave McLeod. This interview is with Erik and Joel, and we have a great conversation. These guys are awesome. And I wore the perfect shirt because we talk about MTV. We're all kind of from the same time, the 80s. All right, well, that does it for that. I'm going to let you just enjoy my conversation, and do check these guys out. They're really, really good. I love kind of discovering new bands that I haven't necessarily heard of yet. So this is one of them, and I am officially a fan. So enjoy my conversation with Rival Waves. All right, it's a pleasure to welcome 2/5 of Rival Waves. We have Erik Salinas, who plays guitar, and then we have Joel De La Garza, who does lead vocals. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
Yeah, nice to have you. You have some exciting stuff happening, so this is really good timing for us to get, if we don't know you and aren't familiar with what you guys are doing, this is wonderful timing because you have your first debut LP, which is 11 tracks, and you're putting them all out at once, yeah?
We're slowly putting some singles out leading up to, but yeah, this will be an album, like a physical double album, gatefold vinyl. We're doing it we're doing it right, I feel. And it's taken a long time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because there are multiple ways that people are doing things these days. I agree with you that you're doing it kind of the right way, and I want to bring that back. I have so many core memories of, laying on the living room floor and unfolding an album and spinning it because I'm a 70s girl. And so I want people to have that back. So talk about the process. I know you recorded with the amazing Frenchie at the Bubble. But like, talk a little bit about the recording process. Go wherever you want to go, but just lay it on us.
Erik, do you want
It
to
all
kick it off? Do you want me to do it?
started on a Friday afternoon, didn't it?
Well, the recording process did, yeah. But I like to go back a little bit on that because it really started with a meeting that Marc, Erik, and myself had early 2019, and I'd done as we started the band. It started as a studio project, and I was recording songs and just kind of woodshedding, wanting to do as much DIY, just learn the craft of recording, songwriting. I'd been in bands and done songwriting things, but I just kind of wanted to do as much of it myself as I could. And I kind of hit a wall and enlisted the help of a friend named J.R. Taylor, who's a producer out in Lakeway, Texas, and started recording really good things, and we started to get a good vibe about it. And he's like, this shouldn't be a studio project. You should put a band together. And I said, okay, well, help me put the band together and let's see what we can do. And there were many iterations of the band in the early days. We were called a different name, something that nobody could spell or pronounce. So we changed it pretty early on, I guess 2017. And around that time, I decided to release some things, and I'd been able to record with some really amazing session players, Jack Irons, who was in Red Hot Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam, Satnam Gotra, who is in Hans Zimmer's orchestra, various bassists, various guitar players, and put what became our initial EP together, but it wasn't representative of the band we had built. So in early 2019, Marc and Erik sat me down at was it Via 313, I guess, on the drag.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, they're gonna quit. They hate me. I'm horrible. I'm a crazy person. And they were just like, no, man, we want to record a record where we're on the record, and we want it to be representative of the band. And we have these songs that we've been writing. And I was like, well, yeah, let's 100%.
Yeah.
And so we played some shows throughout 2019, had a really good year of gigging out and building the profile little by, as you do in Austin, little by little. And around October, I talked to Heather Wagner-Reed over at Juice, and she's like, you need a producer with a name, and Frenchie just automatically came to mind. I was like, he'll never do it. He doesn't know who we are. I called him and didn't expect him to call back. And within 30 minutes, he called and we had a 3-hour conversation about it was like Lester Bangs, the faces of rock, and how he's been waiting for a band to sound like this again, because it does harken back to a 90s vibe. And 16 Deluxe is for Austin, the 90s band, right? So it kind of made sense. It made sense for him. We had talked about some other guys, we had thrown around some other names, but it just, with the energy and the enthusiasm that he brought to it, it was like a no-brainer. So we did one pre-production in November, Erik, over at Alpha 51st. Whatever, Soundcheck it was called.
Soundcheck.
And he stood there and really just took it in. We just went through our set, right? Because we'd been playing these songs for a few years. We've been working on them and just getting them tighter and arranging them the way that we wanted. And he had 2 suggestions, and they were amazing suggestions, but we're like things that we didn't think of, and we're like, oh, that's interesting. And then we had one song that he's like, I don't really want to, you guys don't really have it, it kind of sounds like, that band Air, really French and acoustic. And he's like, oh, we'll just do that one in the studio. We'll just figure that one out. And I was just super naive. I was like, sure. But as you know, like, recording anywhere is expensive. And so we had to be pretty econo about it and really, just kind of a little punk rock about it. But we went in with that in mind. Like, we wanted it to be a live record. So we cut 14 songs in 2.5 days.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our drummer sat in an ice bath at each of those nights. We put him through hell, but he's a youngin' and he's just a badass drummer, Paul Pinon, and he never said no. He never said he brought like, I don't know, 6-7 different snares, and then
Yeah.
Frenchie's got his snares, and so we were trying things out, and it was, the guitarists, they had a guitar room, so they were blowing out their eardrums in this small amp room and just killing it, and I was stuck in the control room in a closet. I mean, it was Seattle early 90s. Like, that's what it felt like to me. It was like,
Oh,
we're just trying some shit. And I think that really comes across in the way that it was produced and the way it was mixed. There's a little bit of distortion on the vocal. It kind of breathe, like the whole album kind of breathes with a really sweet compression.
mm,
That's not really, you know, and God love all the bands putting out alternative music now, but it's very digital. There's a lot and there's nothing wrong with it. That's just not what we do.
mhm.
It's not what we did for this record. It's not to say that we couldn't do it or shouldn't do it. We just went in with a pretty clear focus, and the songs were just like crazy tight. Like I don't know that because we had to take that break, right? I don't know that we've gotten back to that level of tightness, but we're getting there, and it feels good again.
Yeah.
Anything to add? Sorry.
Yeah. Add
No,
in.
I think what, like, I think some of the experiences that we had in, a few years ago where, you kind of do an album in parts. Like, this was my first experience, and thankfully I'm with 4 other talented guys that were actually able to pull off the 3-day you know run of just trying to get these things and playing them together. And and it's not like these were one takes. I think we did like 3 or 4 takes of almost each one.
Mm-hmm.
Even the song that he said wasn't there yet, that we did in the studio, that was kind of exciting to be able to kind of create that almost on the fly. And while Marc was like recording the acoustic part, I'm actually standing across from Frenchie, and he's playing a kind of a mock part of what Marc is doing. But in my head, I'm having like you know a fanboy kind of like, this is fucking Frenchie Smith,
Yeah.
from 16 Deluxe, and we're playing, we're trading
It's like
off.
a crossroads moment. They're trading
Yeah,
notes. It was
yeah,
crazy.
we're just kind of vibing off each other, and just oh, you're gonna hit that pedal, and let me hit this pedal. Watch this, and then it was really exciting, and to be able to do the gauntlet of 14 songs, with 4 other individuals that we all kind of rival this talent, and we were able to do that. Where if I said 10 years ago to try to do that with my former bands, it probably would have never have worked out. So
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, to the point where Dave, our bassist, he played a jazz bass while Paul was tracking, and then I think on like the last song we tracked, he switched out to a P bass, and Frenchie's like, "That's it," and then he had to do the whole album on a P bass, and he did. Like,
yeah,
in that weekend, it was amazing.
yeah.
Like, he went one take Jake, like on the rest, because it was just, they were ready, and it was really, really cool. It was a good experience.
Yeah, I think I have spent I had some friends that were recording a couple years ago and over a weekend, and they had like, basically 2.5 days to get down. I forget how many songs. I've been in that nonstopness of that, but also what's so cool is like, I thought going into that I was going to see like, oh, all four guys are just going to be standing there and it's going to be like everyone together. No, you have like a guy, the guitar player, sitting on a couch over here plugged in, just kind of looking like he's just kind of like fucking around, but he's like
Yeah,
actually laying something down. And
yeah.
then you have like
Not this
someone
album.
else messing around, and it's really not what maybe a lot of people think it is. It's very Wild West and
Yeah.
kind of like a lot on the fly. And when you have a
This was
producer like Frenchie, it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
he's so good. This is what I hear. And I had him on the
Oh
show,
yeah.
and he's so good about just like minute by minute, like, let's try this and what do you think about that? And you know, I feel like, are you just creating as the moments tick by, you know?
It
Right.
was amazing, and I think I'll say this, like, for this record, for this project, it wasn't dude sitting on the couch. Not in those first 2 days. It was
Oh,
like
okay.
everybody was playing. It was like a live show. And
Okay.
again, I was in a closet with like this 1970s like long mic, like from the Let It Be sessions or something. And I'm just like, this is the weirdest thing. I've never really done this, but you know, it's like when we signed over to work with Frenchie, like I was like, whatever, man, let's
Right.
go. Because you see the vision that I have and that we collectively have for this record, for this band. Um and it was really, he felt like another member at that point, you know. It was a George Martin kind of Beatles thing. It was really, really cool.
Mm.
Not that, not that I'm saying we're the Beatles, but just that camaraderie,
Yeah.
and that like we're all in this for the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
So you know, we got to a point, I guess it was that Sunday, Eric, where like we were tightening up performances and like making sure like the palm muted guitars were as close to perfect as we could make them. And that was, there was some sitting down and having just the amp head there and plugging straight into the thing. But like for the basic tracking, like everybody was playing together and it was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
We're not going to discount the fact that, yes, there were overdubs, here and
Okay.
there,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
surprisingly, like for me, having created with constant overdubs in former bands or even my own writing, it was really cool to be like, no, let's just do it again. What? Let's just do it
The
again.
whole
Like,
song, yeah.
yeah. So there
And
wasn't,
That was a
vocal
like,
lot.
tracks
let's
too, that
just,
was something.
yeah, there wasn't like a let's just do the verse over again and then we'll just cut and paste it. That was the vibe with that I got after day one with Frenchie, that I was like, okay, I dig this. Like
Yeah.
this is kind of like making the records that we kind of grew up on
Yeah.
versus today, which it's a little more parted out. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm no discount to that, but
Mm-mm.
sometimes it's the work harder, not smarter, or no, wait, the other way. Work smarter, not harder thing. But I mean, it was exciting to do
Yeah,
to do it the way that we did it. So
yeah, I mean,
What
and
do you feel like adds to that? What's the difference? And maybe the fingerprint of you guys specifically, but like, I mean, I know for me what the difference is and what that means for me. I'm really into music, so I care about that kind of stuff. And I know you guys care about it too. Maybe the average music listener doesn't or doesn't even pick up on it. But what do you feel like that kind of fingerprinted onto this record? Just the punk rockness part of it, just, doing it like in the old days. What did it add?
for me, it's like, because I'm a musician, I can tell there are parts, like it's almost like I remember like listening to like early REM records and it's not auto tuned. So, maybe he's a little off key, but that's what makes Michael Michael.
Yes.
And so like, there's a part like in one of the songs where I'm like, ooh, I forgot to dynamically come down with my picking hand, but it's there, and maybe I'm the only one that's going to notice it and be judgmental about that small part. But, like that to me, like that experience or like, because I've done records where it's parted out and usually it's to kind of give you a brief example. It's like maybe a guitar player or two, depending on the members. You're just playing to a metronome, no
Mhm.
drums, no nothing. So there's no soul to that
Right. Right.
scratch track, and then you're sending your drummer into the room to play to this metronome and this scratch guitar track, and he's gonna gotta fake it,
Mhm.
in a way. And whereas we're all pretty much underneath the same roof, and we could turn around and look at each other for any kind of cues if we needed to. And I think there's a sense of like just this collective pulse going, whether oh yeah, we dragged there, we didn't drag there, and then we fixed it by replaying it again and just playing it better. So I feel like that's the thumbprint that, in my opinion, that we put on it. So, Joel?
yeah. I would just say it's, all of our maybe all of our, I don't want to say, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I would say that a lot of our musical heroes, they approached recording as capturing a moment,
Mhm.
right? So it's about letting the song breathe and letting the song be. I mean, we're humans. We aren't metronomes. We're not robots. And so letting the imperfections, that maybe not everybody, you know, maybe some like music head will be like, oh man, they rushed that song, or Joel flubbed that note. He didn't get there.
Yeah.
I look at it as like, these are human beings making a human record about human emotions, and it goes back to the concept of the record, and it's kind of why we wanted to put this out as a record. The songs are very purposeful in their concept and themes throughout. You know, it's so funny because when we started writing these songs, I was personally going through the loss of my father, and so I came about chaos from that. You know, the process of losing a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what laid ahead of us in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what chaos really could mean, in terms of a pandemic, in terms of other band members going through hard times, and and having to be there as a friend, as a bandmate, and just kind of what all that, and then even when you couldn't physically be there, you know, having to check up on folks and just being like, are you guys still alive? Are you okay? Nothing wrong? Family's good? Please let me know if there's anything I can do. You know, that shit really brought us together. So it made these songs even more appropriate, or even more meaningful to us collectively, because it started out as a, like, are you gonna let the meaningless chaos like drag you down, or are you gonna kind of that you know, like, fight against the dying of the light kind of thing, right? Are you gonna wake up and fight to keep the wolves at bay? So that's kind of the mindset of it's kind of our battle cry throughout the album, you know. And that hits love, it hits loss, it hits all of those human emotions that we, you know, that we kind of like wait for the next shoe to drop, because it will. You just, I mean, I don't know if everybody thinks that way. I definitely am trying not to think that way so much, but during that time it was definitely front and center. And so it's like, yeah, fuck that, let's figure out a way to, I didn't even ask if I could cuss, but
You
but
can. Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. But yeah, it's just like, you know, the hell with that. Let's live life. Let's celebrate why we're here. And so some of these songs are about that release, that celebration of life. And Isla 3 is a perfect example of that. I wrote that staring out at an ocean and watching surfers do what they do, and I'm just like, that is some of the most like breathtaking, beautiful action movement things I've ever seen. And it just got me to write the riff, to write the lyric, and I brought it back to the guys. I'm like, is this something that you guys want to do? And everybody kind of was like, yeah, it's kind of a Joel thing, but we'll see what we can do. And then on the record, it just kind of blossomed. It was a really big surprise, and so I was really happy to put that one out in advance of the record.
I love it when rock and roll has heart. I love it when there's contrast between the sound and the message. And then when you guys, you know, let us into sort of what's going on behind the scenes. I think that that's so great. And I think people really respond to that, you know, just the dichotomy between, you know, I love a good like rock song and punk song, but what you're actually saying is something so human and so much something that I can identify with. I think that it's a really nice spot to kind of sit in. I can't wait to hear the whole album.
Yeah, it's kind of what we've tried to do since I started woodshedding songs. You know, it's just kind of, that kind of sits at the heart of it. It's usually a juxtaposition between the sound and the lyric. Sometimes it's just, we kind of stick the finger right in the eye and just like, no, this is it, man.
Nope.
We're going to talk about, you know, immigration, and we're going to talk about politics, and we're going to talk about trans rights, or we're going to talk about, you know, politicians and how they're SOBs, and we're going to call, you know, truth to power, because as an artist, I feel like that's what you should do. but we're gonna do it in a very catchy and riff heavy, memorable melody kind of way. We you know, it goes back to, you know, again, our heroes, you know, like the Foo Fighters and the Clash and Pearl Jam and, you know, U2, and like these are the bands that we grew up on loving,
Mm-hmm.
and that weren't afraid to say the scary stuff, or weren't afraid to hold a mirror up, you know, talk about um institutionalization of children, or abuse of children, or, you know, all of these things that either they'd gone through or they had heard stories of, and all, you know, as artists we want to do is be storytellers,
Yeah.
and hold that mirror up, and you know, there are bands that just want to be, you know, again, love them. Some of my favorite bands just want to be cool and
Mm-hmm.
write cool ass songs that, like, they're the coolest dudes on the planet, and, you know, the Rolling Stones, like, hella
Sure.
cool. They're not always writing, you know,
They're
they're
not
not
changing
always writing about
laws.
you. Right. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's been a while since they have, right? So so it's kind of incumbent upon somebody, right? And
Mhm.
so to kind of carry that torch, and I've kind of used this band as a vehicle to do that lyrically, and it's been received well by the guys. Mark would be a perfect example of that, because he's a songwriter too. He does his own solo stuff, and he's, you know, started to write lyrics for this band, and he sends songs, and I'm like, dude, can we use that? I love that, you know. And it's and he's game. Erik's been writing uh riffs, melodies, songs, the music aspect of the songs. I'm waiting to get a lyric or two from E. See what we can do.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Come on, you have it.
So yeah, but it's it's just kind of the role that we've um positioned the band in. Sometimes a lot of the time it's met with positivity. Sometimes it's you're not always batting 1,000. Sometimes you make some not friends, but you start a conversation, right? You get a conversation going, and if they can see where we're coming from, you know, we
Mhm.
can have a dialogue all day. I'm always game for that.
Oh, okay. So that's it. That is something that, because I was wondering, doing this and in this business, you're not going to bat 1,000, 100%, and people aren't going to automatically love you. And how does that feel? Like it's,
I mean, it's an interesting look. If they come to the show, or if they buy the record or stream the record, and uh they're, you know, we've got them, even if they're complaining, you know. It's like Ice Cube said, you know, they gotta buy the record before they burn it.
yeah,
So,
That's true.
you know, I just I feel like you're not always going to bat 1,000, but I subscribe to the religion of Pearl Jam, which is like, there's one commandment: just don't be an asshole.
yes,
And
yes,
as you know, you can tell the truth, you can accept somebody else's truth, just you can't
sure,
tell them they're wrong, and you can't tell me my opinion's wrong. Like, it's
right, yeah,
right, but I have the mic, right? And you're at the show.
and you don't.
So right.
That'd be good.
So
Yeah. Um, Tell me a little bit about each of you, just kind of like briefly, where you're from and your kind of abridged path to where you are now, and when did this kind of aha moment go off for you? Because again, I've said it a million times, but I mean it so deeply. I I am so in awe of people that do what you do, and I don't take it lightly. I feel like it's one of the most vulnerable things that anyone can do, is write songs, perform those songs, stand on a stage, play your heart out, scream your heart out, whatever, um, and do that authentically. And so it's always interesting to me to know sort of the path of how you got to that place of like going, yeah, sign me up. I'm good for that. Erik, will you tell me a little bit about just the path to get to where you are today?
Definitely started when I was 10.
drop all the names, dude.
Yeah. Started when
Okay.
I No, it's not that bad.
Should I stretch or get ready?
Yeah, right. Okay. No, no, I was 10 years old watching MTV, and I said I wanted to do that, and yep, there you go. And that was, I'll date myself. It was in the '80s, so I got to see a lot of that, what we call now hair metal. But there was a sense of like, I just want to play guitar and I want to buy a house, and of course, I'm doing well. I did both of that, but one didn't pay for the other. But yeah, so like, I just grew up watching a lot of Austin bands, like out of high school, watching Raw Time and Capsize with Dave Pruitt. So that's how I got to see like 16 Deluxe and Johnny Gowdy and Ugly Americans and, Seed from back then, Sister Seven, which I, was kind of that same time, Wicked Gypsy, like just all these like Austin bands, Vallejo, that's a big one. Playing at Steamboat and stuff like that. So I just knew that I wanted to be a part of that community somehow. Mm. And it was probably around the late 90s and 2000s when I finally got to do that. And the first gig that I ever did with that band at that time was, at the back room at 2015 East Riverside, which is now Emos. Mm. And so, I mean, that just kind of ventured into where I think I really honed my skills. I was in a band called Fire Kills from like 03 to about 09. Did a record, had a single on 101X, had a lot of support from 101X, and did Warped Tour in 05, and just really got to immerse myself in the business side of things, which is not always fun, but somebody's got to do it. And and around that time, Joel and I had crossed paths with his band that he was in at the time, as the couple of bands that I was in. So that's kind of where our worlds kind of come together. And I went off and I did another band called the Riot Scene after that, before I really honed and joined Rival Waves. But it's like, at the end of the day, like for me, it's like I just love playing, and I love playing in front of people. And from, again, like at age 10, watching all these 80s bands, and mostly it was Guns N' Roses because they were plastered everywhere. But it's like I want to do that, and I don't like, I get that within the business, ages can be an issue depending on how you're trying to market yourself. But I'm like, I love it. I love what I do, and I just want to keep doing it. And yeah, I know I have a little bit of gray in my beard, but who cares? I'm going to do what I love. So.
Hey, are you born in the 70s?
79.
Okay, I'm 76. So I'm older than you. So we're cool. Hey, don't let anyone tell you that you're not cool. You're like the coolest generation ever. Sorry, Joel. Joel, how old
78.
are you? You're 78?
Yeah,
okay, great. Yeah.
So I'm the baby here. All right.
He's the baby. Yeah, so yeah, I think we always had cable, but I remember being 3 and them hooking up the cable to our I guess we lived in an apartment, and the cable guy came and hooked it up, and it landed on MTV. And I still remember the video was AC/DC's For Those About to Rock, Lisa Lee was alive, and music was in the house constantly. My dad was a musician, and so the Beatles, and all of his music. But pretty early on, I had a lot of older cousins, and they came by a lot. So pretty early on, combat rock was kind of mother's milk kind of thing, right? It was like the Clash, and Joe Strummer was Saint Joe from my childhood. So I wish I could say that some cool guy when I was in high school taught me about the Clash. It was my pothead cousins, that would come over and like, oh, you got to listen to this, and it was a little Stranger Thingsy, but it was music was always in the house. And then we did church choir, and so like I learned to sing pretty early. I was a percussionist in high school as an all-state jazz drummer, and then I came to UT to play music. I was in the basketball band for 3 years, like the trap set guy that would,
Nice.
so I did that, and met some of Erik and I, mutual friends of Erik and I. And that's kind of, I brought them into I was in a band. I played percussion in a band called Three Penny Opera here in town. And then kind of took the bass player and started my own band. And that's kind of when I met up with Erik.
Mm.
But how I got to, or why I got to UT, or why music and UT were kind of intertwined. I was kind of getting recruited by a few different schools, and so they would send, stuff. And one of the things that UT sent was a Daily Texan, a copy of the Daily Texan, and it was a music issue, and
Mm.
it had a picture of David Garza, AJ and Alex, like live at Steamboat, just kind of in whatever they were doing, playing, jamming, whatever. And then Patrice and Little Sister, I think it was still, before it was Sister Seven. And I saw David and AJ and Alex, and it was Vallejo, and I'm Joel De La Garza. I'm from South Texas, down by Padre, a world away from anything music or scene. But I
Mm.
saw these two, or three Latinos doing this thing in Austin, being some of the biggest bands. And I was like, well, I won't fucking do that.
Yeah.
So I came up here and immediately sought them out and sought out guidance from them and mentorship. And they were kind of peak. David was signed to wherever he was, and making commercials for Best Buy and just blowing up. And the Vallejos were about to get signed to Sony, and I would go after shows and just hang out and just be like, hey man, I'm a musician, I'm starting a band, I just kind of want to know kind of what to do. And like I still to this day, I'm grateful. Alex and AJ recommended me the Passman book, and David, I was in a just a little acoustic band, singer songwriter kind of thing, with never mind. He's a co-host on the Bobby Bones show now, but producer Eddie was
Oh,
a friend of mine.
oh, okay.
So he was our singer, and it was just we were just buddies from the valley. And we sent David a demo, and he got back to us, emailed us back, and I'm still really good friends with David. He's producing Fiona Apple and winning Grammys now, and just an amazing, he is music personified to me.
Mm.
And Alex, AJ, Omar, they're just the biggest, baddest hustlers in Austin. They wear so many hats and do so many things, and come at it from a place of love for Austin, for the place that took them in, and gave them their audience and their shot. And they're doing that for younger bands and older bands. And I love those guys to death. And that was what really got me here. I went to UT, graduated, did the thing, but music was it was covert. It was like, I'll go to school, I'll do stuff, I'll get my diploma, but I'm doing music and not sleeping.
Punk rock. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, you have, like I said at the top, you have your LPs coming out, and that debuts on August 4th of this year. And then the very next night, so beautifully timed, by the way, you're going to do your
like we planned it or something.
Like I don't know. It's like you thought about it or something. I don't know. Maybe that was Erik, because he's like he does the business side. Do you do the business?
I will give a little bit of advice to Joel, but he's actually been really, I feel like he's been planning this for, since we've been working on this.
Yeah.
So like I went over, like, not to get off on a tangent, but like went over to his house to look at some video footage for 100M that he was going to show me. And I think we did some like B-roll stuff. And I see this wonderful dry erase board in his office. And I'm like,
oh, I love
this
it.
is Joel's brain right here.
I love a dry erase. Yes.
Yeah, like I was like, wow, like, okay, so like, this tells me like he definitely knows a thing or two and has put a lot of effort into this. So I won't take a lot of I give it all to him. Like this is his baby that he's put together,
Oh,
and I have a lot of respect and admiration for the work that he's put into this while having a day job, so and doing tons of Zoom meetings apparently.
But not knowing the mute button.
but not
Right,
knowing
right,
me.
right.
Right, right,
All
right.
right.
No,
Well,
it was a lot of moving dates. It's 3 years in the making, right? We were mixing and getting ready to release the record in February 2020.
ah,
We had a South by Southwest unofficial showcase with Frenchie. We were going to be playing with Matt Gilmore, Jackie Benson, Casino AM. It was a great lineup. And we were 2 weeks out from that, and that was going to kickstart the album release process,
yeah.
and everything went away. And so we decided, well, we have 3 more songs that we did, so let's mix those, and we'll make those vinyl only.
Mm.
Like they're only going to be on the double LP.
Oh, cool.
So we're putting the 11 out, which were the original thing, but we had we were either going to do one record and just squeeze as much of the 11 on the one record as we could, or we were going to have the record sound really great and do a double LP, and then we had a free side. So it was like, well, let's just mix those 3 songs, call it the D side, and then you only get it when you get the record.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
it's yeah, it's that's kind of what we're rolling out. So when things started to open back up, the first show that we got was this crazy show opening for Oakley
Oh yeah.
Dokley, which was a Ned Flanders metal band where they all dress up like Ned Flanders and just play the most badass like metal, all Simpson related metal. They have a song called White Wine Spritzer. They have a song, it's great. It's great. And we didn't know what to expect, other than it was supposed to be in the control room, and they sold out the control room because it was their last date before they were breaking up.
Oh, oh,
And they ended the tour in Austin. And so they sold out the control room. We went to load in, and they were like, no, you guys are playing the big stage. You're playing the garage. And they sold out the garage. And it was just chock full of people dressed like Ned Flanders that we were playing these songs to. It was so surreal, but they were so loving and like accepting of what we did. And like we only had like 30 minutes, I think it was, Eric,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
they wanted us to do more. It was like, no, you want the band that you came to see. We're first to 3. We're good. We know the score.
yeah.
But it was rad. And so we did that. We did a couple of other things, and then I got sick. I got COVID
Mm.
in September. We were moving my girlfriend's little brother into UT, and he was like patient zero and gave it all to us. And everybody else got well quickly, and it took me about a month and a half. I had lost my voice completely.
Oh no.
And so we had to punt from 2022 into 2023. And then it was just kind of like, okay, we got to start playing. We got to start raising our profile again.
Yeah.
So we've done that. I think we're at 11 shows this year, which is in Austin.
It's pretty good.
So we've just been, and they've all been great. Resound's been great to us. C3's been great to us. And we ask the questions. We try to come at it with a really professional sense of logistics and timing, and we just want to be a good partner with any producer or production team
Mhm.
that we work with. And we, at the end of the day, we want everybody to do well so that they stick around, so that we have a place to play.
Yeah.
We're not we would love to do this for money, but we're not at that place, nor is that we're all gainfully employed, and we're doing our thing.
Mhm.
But so it's like we want to champion the people that allow us the platforms to do the thing.
Mhm.
So we come at them with that, and we work really hard at the marketing side. Not, you know, not always to the best results. We're still growing that side of it, but we're, you know, the crowds are growing, the interest is growing, the opportunities, people are finding out about, you know, what we do. And so we've got a show Saturday night where we're playing with a band called Tough on Fridays at Valhalla, and they're a great band that we were looking to do something with for some time now. And their manager came to our single release show 100 at Empire for 100M, and he's like, "I want you guys to play with Tough on Fridays," and like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how we approach. That's kind of how we approach these opportunities. Let's go. Let's do something. It's got to make sense. Like playing on a Wednesday night at the Far Out in August at 7:30 is not necessarily. I mean, appreciate it, but it's not the smartest thing for us to do. So we have to be smart and we have to be strategic with it. But you know, playing 310 on a Saturday night, headlining a show with the Dead Coats and Lola Tried, there's worse things in life to do.
I mean, I was going to say, I like that bill, and that is happening the day after the release of the LP. So that's on August 5th. Still tickets. Is this a ticketed event?
Yeah, 310austin.com. The tickets are there. They're going, which is great.
Awesome.
So you might want to get yours, because it's for the 310. It's one of their, you know, because we're all local bands, so it's not like a $25 ticket. It's like a $15 ticket.
Yeah.
Which it's a step up for us. But it's a big night. And so we wanted to do it right. We want to have that HD, you know, video wall behind us. We do a visualization thing. And so, we like to make our shows as immersive as we can. Both from a music, I mean, it's the one thing that we do that isn't, strictly punk rock, you know.
I was gonna say that's not very punk rock, but I kind of.
But yeah, I mean, it's just if there's something to go along with you know, the magic of creating music and pushing air around, you know, there are some. We early on we partnered with some really smart people who do algorithmic based visualization based on like sound waves. So as the sound is coming off the stage, the light, so you don't need a lighting director. The algorithm moves so it's pretty rad. We've kind of gone away from it a little bit, but this may be a perfect opportunity to bring it back, and then just kind of lean on their LD to do something really, really cool too.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. What is the best way for people to support you guys? What's the call to action?
Rivalwaves.com. That's definitely one. And then Linktree/rivalwaves. That's got you know, our stuff on Spotify, our latest video, the ticket link for the show. But yeah, follow us on all the socials. They're all on that Linktree link as well. And we appreciate a follow. We love a follow. And yeah, engage with us, talk to us. We're out here and we're doing the band thing.
And buy the album, buy the vinyl, and play it.
Yeah, but yeah, I've got a couple hundred really beautiful vinyl pieces sitting in my house, and if I can have not that by the end of the year,
are they blue?
That would be great.
Are they?
It's Coke bottle clear.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a blue-green clear.
Yeah. That's so cool. You guys should all buy one if you're watching. Yes, I love that.
Okay. Yeah, and rivalwaves.com is where you can pick it up.
Okay, cool. And 310, is it 310.com to get the tickets?
310austin.com.
310austin.com to get those tickets. So you heard them. Well, guys, thanks so much for taking a little time and spending some time with us and let us know what's going on with you. I'm excited for you. I feel like even though the pandemic really kind of, you know, it feels like you have so much more to offer than you were going to. And it just, I'm really genuinely excited for what you guys have to put out there. I'm loving what I'm hearing so far. It is very, the first time I pushed play, I was like, catchy. Like, I sound like I'm 90 years old, but I was like, damn, I love a band that gives me the word catchy right away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't think that that's an easy thing to do.
No,
No,
No.
it's not.
no.
Because I listen to a lot of music and not a lot of it is catchy. And so you guys do a great job of kind of getting that hook right away. So good job for
Yeah,
that.
I mean, again, it's like listening to your forefathers, listening to Dave Grohl. He's the one
Right.
that coined it. Don't bore us, get to the chorus, and
Yes.
that's kind of what we kind of want to do. I mean, we want to tell a story, we want it to be meaningful, but at the end of the day, we want people to like listen to it a couple times and then have it in their head. I mean, Taylor Swift is a master at that.
She
you
is.
know
She is.
so it's like, okay, she's doing something right because she's selling out stadiums.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way to do it. Yeah. And I just, before we leave, I just want to say thank you to you
Oh,
for having this platform, for supporting local music, and taking an interest in what we do. I think I sent you the full album, so you've
yes.
got it. Take a listen. Let us know your thoughts, because it means the world. And you may end up having a vinyl in your mailbox soon. So
I do have a player too, and I love playing vinyl because it's just so it's just that tactile. It's all the
yeah.
senses, and I really want people. You can't force people to do it, but like I hope people are starting to come back to that, especially those of
So
us that grew up on that.
so we did a
Yeah.
mystery box for our pre-order. So there's like, you just get the vinyl, right? And you get the download card or whatever. But with the mystery box, we just put like pins and pics and this and that and posters. And one of the things that we did for the digital download is we created like an all access pass
Mm.
on one side with the instructions on how to get your digital download and your unique code on the back of that. So there's some really, really cool stuff in the store, and whether you need all the bric-a-brac or you just want the vinyl,
Right.
there's something for everybody there.
Does the mystery box have like random household items from your homes? Like
you will get a broken drumstick from the sessions.
never know.
You may get some old strings, or what do they call those, Eric? The fuses from the
Yeah.
amps,
I
blown
was
out
thinking, like, so
fuses.
what happened to that blown fuse that happened on day 3? Did you put that in there?
Oh, I kept everything. I'm a hoarder.
Awesome. You guys are so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on. Say
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having
hi
us.
to your fellow bandmates, Paul, Dave, and Mark, who weren't
Cool.
able to join us, but lots of love to them as well. And I'm super excited for you. And yeah, I'll be watching.
Hopefully you make it out to the show.
Yes, I will try. Yes, it's August 5th.
August 5th.
I'm leaving town. It's a surprise for my daughter
Okay.
who can't hear me, but
Okay.
I think I think I'm still in town. So if I am,
Okay.
I'll definitely try. All right,
Right
guys.
on.
Well, that does it for another episode of the Austin Downbeat. Thanks you guys for watching. Thank you, Erik and Joel, for coming on. And we will see
Thanks
you
for
next
having us.
time, of course. All right. Bye.